Alright, so today what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about nomenclature. When you're naming a compound, there are some questions that you need to ask yourself. The first question is, are there any metals? Either no, there aren't, or yes, there are. If there are no metals, then we are going to use covalent nomenclature. In covalent nomenclature, we use the prefixes. Remember doing that? So, prefixes. Mono. What's two? Di. Tri. Come on. What's four? Tetra. Five. Penta. All right, what's six? This isn't geometry. Nope, not geometry. Hex. Seven. Hept. 8. Oct. 9. Non. And 10. Dec. Don't have to go beyond 10. All right, what is a common covalent compound? There you go, carbon dioxide. All right, if it does have a metal, then you want to ask yourself, does the metal have more than one charge? No. Yes. If it doesn't have more than one charge, then you just name what you see. If it does have more than one charge, how do we name it? You have to indicate the charge. You can do ik or us, and what's the other thing? Roman numerals. You have to indicate the charge, typically with Roman numerals. Now, in the AP exam, you don't have to know the ik and the us. Okay? That's not going to be on the AP exam because it's really old school. It's a good thing to know those because you're going to run into them. But you're not going to have to know them for the AP exam. Okay? All right, you remember doing this? All right. So, moving on to the next one. Okay. So, are we looking at ionic or covalent things here? Ionic. So we have to add, how do we know they're ionic? Because they have a metal in it. All right. Sodium. Sodium have more than one charge? No. So what is this? Sodium chloride. All right, what about this one? What's this one? Potassium sulfide. What's this next one? Aluminum fluoride. All right. What about the next one? Okay, cobalt can have more than one charge, so we got to do something about that, don't we? All right, what's going to determine that is what it's with, is the iodine. Iodine's always going to have what kind of charge? -1. And how many are there? 3. So what's the charge on the cobalt? +3. So this would be cobalt 3 iodide. All right. CaBr2, what's that? Calcium bromide. Cu3N2. Copper? Yep. Agree with that? Does everybody know how we figured out that it was copper 2? Do we need to review that? Okay. All right. Does silver need a Roman numeral? It's a transition metal. No, it's one of the ones in those diagonal lines. So what is this? Silver selenide. All right. What about the last one? 10,4 sulfide. Okay? All right, now, going to go the other direction. For the first few, we'll write the charges, and then you're going to do it without it. Calcium has what kind of charge? +2. What about sulfide? So what is calcium sulfide? CaS. Cesium hydride. What charge does cesium have? +1. Metals always have what kind of a charge? Positive. So even though this is hydrogen and it's group 1, when it's with a metal like this, can it have a positive charge? No, that's when it takes its negative charge. What charge is it? -1. So what is the formula for cesium hydride? Copper 1 oxide. What's the charge on that copper? 1. The Roman numeral 1 is telling you. What's the charge on oxide? +2. So what is the formula for copper 1 oxide? Cu2O. Yeah, thank you. It's only 8th period. My brain's fried. Just so y'all know, this is the first time in 10 years I've taught an 8th period class. My brain doesn't work this time of day. Nickel 3 bromide. What's the charge on nickel 3? +3. What's the charge on bromide? -1. Okay, so what's nickel 3 bromide? Okay, what would be the formula for barium fluoride? BAF2. Lithium phosphide. I3. Bismuth 5 sulfide. Okay. Bi2S5. Cadmium nitride. CD3N2. Do we remember that? Okay. It's been a while, but we remember doing it. Okay. Now we're going to look at some covalent stuff. And how do we know these are covalent? They're nonmetals. So what is NO? Nitrogen monoxide. Do we ever put mono on the first one? No. Now what about monoxide versus monooxide? There's some rule that says if your prefix has two syllables and you're putting it on something that starts with a vowel, then you drop the second syllable of the prefix. So monoxide rather than monooxide. But every book I've ever seen that actually spelled out that rule broke it on the very next page. It's almost more idiomatic than it is a rule. You know what I mean by idiomatic? Kind of what your ear gets used to hearing. We're not going to split hairs on that. If we write tetraoxide and you write tetroxide, yeah, whatever. Okay? All right, what would NO2 be? Nitrogen dioxide. N2O4. Dinitrogen tetroxide or tetraoxide, whatever. There, we do have to put a prefix on the first one because there's more than one of them, right? T3N5. Triphosphorus. Pentanitride. SO3. What? Sulfur trioxide. Why isn't that sulfite? Because there is no -2 charge. It needs 2 more electrons to be sulfite, doesn't it? Electrons are important. P4O10. Tetraphosphorus digoxide. All right. NF3. Nitrogen trifluoride. Fluoride, not fluoride. CCl4. Carbon tetrafluoride. All right, be careful in this section because we snuck some unexpected things in on you. Silicon dioxide, what would be the formula? SiO2. Boron trichloride. Xenon tetrafluoride. Xe4. Phosphorus pentabromide. Barium fluoride. BAF2. Uh-oh. Where'd the 2 come from? No. Barium is a metal. It has a charge of +2. Fluoride then would have a charge of -1. Lithium phosphide, Li3P. Tellurium tetraiodide. Sulfur dichloride. Okay, so this kind of bring back some memories. Yeah? Yes, ma'am. Well, here it's in the it's with another non-metal, so it's going to we don't we haven't gotten into those oxidation states yet. It's not ionic, it's covalent. Yeah. Remember that when you get a bunch of non-metals together, they can have multiple oxidation states. You can have a whole bunch of different compounds, like here, NO, NO2, N2O4, all the, of the same thing. So that's why we have to use the prefixes. Whereas with the metals, they're pretty much limited on what charge they're going to have. And therefore, if the nonmetals are going to make ions, then they're going to be limited. But you can't, nonmetals, if metals have positive charges, nonmetals have negative. You can't have 2 negatives together, so when there's 2 nonmetals together, there are no charges. They do have an oxidation state, and we'll cover that later. But when you see those prefixes, you don't have to worry about it. Okay? Are we set? All right.